Is it live?
Yes.
No,
Are you going to say anything?
probably not.
Fishing Mission back with another video. He used to start every video that way, and then he quit for some reason.
Because you messed with me about it?
Yeah, I kind of started doing it when he started to make a video and got him laughing 2 or 3 times one day, and he stopped shortly after
We're
that.
using live bait. I got these worms.
Oh.
They're pretty much done. You want them?
Do you want worms?
Sure.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Welcome.
So, Fishing Mission's in Illinois. This is a little lake he's catching bluegill. He's got a couple catfish rods out, but little lake, it's maybe 50, 60 acres. You get this area right here. It goes on back in there and kind of turns to the left and gets real shallow on back in there. A lot of carp in it. Years ago, we caught some decent catfish, and a few decent bass out of it, but we haven't fished it much since we moved.
But they're gonna work on it next week, I know. So, but I'll either send you a link or tell you if it's on Indeed or however they're gonna do it. All right. Bye bye.
He's using what used to be a curly tail white grub that now just has the grub body on it and no curly tail. Just walk down there, bud.
Not at the bank.
Okay. Yeah, I can see it right there on the rock. There you go. Seen the fish take that one and run with it. I don't know if the camera picks it up, but you can see the white disappear sometimes. It's fish grabbing it and running. One's after it right there.
Little tiny one.
Yep.
Green sunfish. They normally seem to be a little bit better bait than bluegill, just because they're normally a little bit smaller than bluegill. That's one. I didn't know that was a fish.
No, it was a rock, and it got it off the rock for you.
That's what it was?
Yep. Very cautiously approaching the fish.
And they're all along this levee.
There's rock all along the levee, and there's bluegill and green sunfish all over the place. I think he scared him off a little bit when he walked down closer, because he quit getting bites, and then he cast off to that side and instantly.
Would you walk towards the other side?
Sure.
the curly tail's gone because the fish stole it.
Yep. He said the reason the curly tail's gone because the fish stole it, which is normal. The camera probably won't pick it up, but right on the other side of the rock at the bank right here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bluegill. Nope, I think there's 7 right there in that spot.
And that's like not even any really.
Yeah, it might be 6 inches deep right there. They love this rocky area along here. So.
Still see some right next to the rocks.
Yep.
Haven't necessarily been giant bluegill, but fairly consistent as far as catching them.
One grabbed it.
For the smallest one yet?
Haven't been giant. Like
this one's just different than the rest.
Like I was starting to call you Captain Obvious, then I was like, no, I won't. That's one of the bigger ones that he's been catching.
Guess what the biggest fish I saw today is?
The stick?
Well, yeah, carp.
You didn't catch a carp.
Well, I didn't catch it, but I saw it.
Oh, the biggest fish you saw today.
It's never the one you catch.
Yeah. And there's donkeys over there. They're quite noisy occasionally. One was running with it right then. But
Yeah, they didn't have any
yeah, he didn't have the hook. I'm gonna see if I can show him. I don't know what the camera picks up, but in the rocks right here, there's so many little fish running around, it's crazy.
This little bit nicer green sunfish. I think some of the bigger ones have been a little bit farther out and they just pick it up and don't have to get the hook every time.
Okay. This might be the most fish you've ever caught on a video, especially live stream.
This person catching them and throwing them back instantly.
That one ran with it for a little bit, didn't it?
Yep.
So I'll tell you a little bit about his rod and reel. That is the Ugly Stick Ultralight Combo. Oh. That little green sunfish fought a little bit, didn't it?
Not really.
It bent the rod, which it's such a flexible rod, it doesn't take much to bend it. But I put 6-pound braid on it for him, because even that little rod, the memory and monofilament or fluorocarbon starts tangling it up pretty bad, and it's just cast so much easier and better with the braid. We switched to that. A lot of times you put a leader on it, but he breaks them off fairly often, and I don't keep up with the leaders on it very well. So I think he's just using straight 6-pound braid right now, which works out pretty good most of the time. And this dingy watercolor here, wow, that was a good toss there. I don't know if the camera got that or not. He went a little underhand toss to put it back, and it slipped out about at his foot. You can step on down there. And I'm getting it on camera. Probably be your best live stream ever if you fall in on accident. It'd probably be better if I pushed you in, but there's a lot of rocks down there. I don't want to do that to you. One more time. There you go. He just swam off. I think the biggest fish we ever caught out of this little lake was an 8-pound carp. There's so many carp on the other end, we started trying to carp fish, which proved to be quite difficult. Yeah, that's
a new bait.
Bite-sized. But Fishing Mission's mom caught an 8-pound carp, and about the only time we caught one when we were intentionally trying to catch one. I've snagged him on accident a few times. He's caught one on a worm before.
Multiple times, actually.
Yeah, but trying to actually catch them with carp bait, setting up like doing a carp fishing, we struggled pretty bad. We would see them everywhere. They would even come in and bump our line and stuff, but they would never get the hook. But other than that one, he did catch a almost 6-pound catfish from a kayak out around the other corner, on around that edge. The reel broke on him, the handle broke off, and we just had to turn the bail to reel it in. But it was interesting because it pulled him around in the kayak a little bit. Whoa. And if you want to try to hook yourself, that's a good technique. I used to tell him not to do what he's doing right there because he tends to make it worse. But then I gave up. And now sometimes it's like just watching to see how long it's going to take. The main reason I say not to do that a lot of times, unless you can really tell which way it is, because it might only be one wrap around it and you go the wrong direction, add 5 or 6 more wraps to it. Whoops, about to drop the phone. And then when you realize you're going the wrong way and you turn and go back the other way, sometimes it will hook. The line will get snagged on an eyelet, and instead of unwrapping it, just wraps more. And then it's a really pain to get it out. Doesn't always happen. Sometimes you can. I recommend if you're going to flip it around the rod tip like that, to just do it once or twice. If it comes undone, don't keep going. And I still do it some myself.
not that bad.
Let's get the phone a little closer. We're not. You're almost there.
Okay.
I don't think they can see how much string's in your hand right now. But... And this is why when I buy line, I normally buy the biggest spools I can get.
Can we just cut it?
Why don't you hold the phone and let me look before you pull it tight so there's no chance at all. Let me look at it real quick.
Okay.
I'll set the worms down. That should get us. It will probably be just cutting it, yes. Tried to pull that bigger loop to see if it would come anything out, but it just tightens it up.
The bluegill are a little bit small to do a catch and cook. They're not bad bluegill.
Great bait. Cut it wrapped around the reel too, boys. It's nice.
I didn't realize that.
You know what the joke is? If you gotta do something, do it right. I don't know which eyelet it's all tangled at, for sure.
Just cut it.
Well, I'm trying to figure out. So I cut it once, and it's still.
And keep cutting. Today we had just been releasing them. You could do a catch and cook, it just that it would take quite a few to have to get anything.
It would be a heck of a lot of work for very little meat. Just that's not.
If you catch a bluegill that's like bigger than your hand, normally they don't do too bad. Though some of the smaller ones, there's nothing on them really.
And you do get more meat if you scale them and take their heads off and gut them than what you do filleting them. But you got to eat around all the bones. I normally prefer to fillet everything if I can. It makes a heck of a mess scaling them, and you seem to find scales all over the place for a long time. I'm just tying the polymer knot. If you're not used to using braid and you switch to braid, you need to make sure and check your knots because it doesn't have near as much friction against itself as what mono or fluoro does. So you can't always tie the same knots. Some people say if you do tie the same knots, double the amount of twist using braid, but I would research a little bit and see knots that work with braid. Polymers work pretty good. Sometimes I'll do a couple half hitches afterwards just to make sure it's locked in. Probably didn't need to do that with this 6-pound braid, but I did it anyway. Cut it. Back in business now, I think. Oops. 2 or 3 attacked it as soon as it went out that time.
There weren't bad ones either. I wonder why I didn't touch them.
He likes using this ultralight, but watch the rod tip when he goes to shake it. It just flops like crazy. For me, it works good for doing this stuff. It really does, and it's, you know, tight quarters around trees, stuff like that. It's such a short little rod. It makes it easier to cast because you don't stick it in a tree. The rod tip when you're casting is bad, but it's hard to feel what's going on because the rod's so flexible. Especially if you had monofilament on it where the line stretches a lot, it's even harder. That's all fish moving over there if you see the ripples in the water.
My lure's got even smaller.
Yeah. You know what? About what time I think it is?
What?
Triple E barbecue.
Really?
Yeah.
There's one grass patch, there were so many fish, more fish than other places.
That shallow little area right there gives them protection from bigger predators. They were all over that. Oh, he took you right into a rock, didn't he? And you almost had another one.
There, either that or you got rehooked.
Right at that rock, they're hitting it. I seen the lure disappear. Couldn't tell if it went behind the rock or a fish got it, and then it was.
Both.
Yeah, I think so too. Nope.
You don't get my lure.
He kept his lure. He got the hook out and the lure stayed. Now he's trying to get the lure out of its mouth. You know, I saw a video of someone catching a bass that they stuck their whole hand down in the bass's mouth to get his hook out. Can't quite do that on that fish, can you? There we go. And now he hooked it again. Are you...
That works.
Little green sunfish. They're feisty little guys. His lure fell down there somewhere. It'll blend in with the white clover. You want to use a worm?
You're not able to find it.
I got these worms that they gave us. Very nice of them to give you worms.
That's true.
By handing them off to you, I don't have to hold them anymore.
Really.
If you're gonna nose hook it, let's show the camera. This works good. It's what we started doing for trout and stuff, and for bluegill. Fishing, what's his name? Richard Jean, the fishing machine, talked about it, and we started doing it, and it seemed to work really good for us. Just barely nose hooking it, or hooking the end and letting it dangle instead of threading it on the hook. Seems to work very well.
Using the baits on?
Yep. Show it to you. They're little red wigglers. and they're small little guys. We normally do it with night crawlers. They're a little thicker, fatter. So. It's gonna be funny when you caught more fish on the artificial lure than you are on the worms.
You know, I don't have to rebait with the artificial lure for the most part.
Yep, this is gonna slow you down.
Exactly.
It's part of the reason we like those little Z-Man shrimp a lot in saltwater, because live shrimp, everything eats it and you lose. You go through so many shrimp, it's ridiculous sometimes.
Then also shrimp are a little bit bigger bait, so they're not as likely to get the hook if it's something like a pinfish, which is about the size of these bluegill.
Yeah. Even though pinfish